Welcome to my shop. Today I am working with sea urchin and ebony and I am creating an ornament. I am starting this ornament off by just rough turning it and making it round. I am utilizing a spindle gouge right now to do this. It's a very small piece, so I'm just taking a lot of very light cuts. I really do not want this piece of ebony to break off before I'm finished. When I start creating the icicle portions of these ornaments, I always like to put a little mark on the spindle so that I know where I'm going to create the beads that I want to see. So the highest point or the rounded feature that you would see in an ornament. This first one I actually didn't quite like where it was at, so I ended up just kind of cutting it away and creating my bead a little bit further up on the actual ornament. With these icicles, I also like to start by just creating a rough shape of what I want it to look like, and then I go back through and I do the fine detail cutting. Here I am starting to create the bead. I'm just fine tuning it and making sure that it has the shape that I am going after, as well as the end bottom point for the spindle. So here's just a quick little adjustment. Since the spindle's getting a lot smaller, I need to adjust my tool rest so that I can get a little bit closer to the work. Now I am moving to the upper portion of this icicle piece for the ornament, and I'm starting to just kind of rough turn or rough shape how the top portion of the ornament will look so it complements the bottom half. And again, I will come back through on this side and put a little bit more detail into that and make them a lot smaller as well. You can find in my Etsy shop on the link below some of my other icicle ornaments that I have created for this season, for the holiday season. So for this project, I believe I am running the lathe at around 1800 RPM, and I need to be very careful and make some very slight cuts as I'm cutting around this bead. There's a lot of vibration in here, and I found that I needed to take softer, smoother cuts so that I could get that bead exactly how I wanted it. So I am utilizing a detailed spindle gouge. This gouge has a 35-degree bevel on it, and that allows me to really make some detailed cuts and to really shape the beads and the coves exactly how I want them to look. Because there was some vibration on this piece, a tool that is a little bit smaller might have been better for me to utilize, but this is really the only piece that I have, and it was able to work for me and what I needed it to do. So I was pretty happy with it. So somewhere in here, I lost the video of how I finished off the end tip. And just moved right to sanding. So here I sanded all the way through grits, 150 all the way up through using some micro mesh. I wanted to have a really high shine and high gloss finish on this piece since I am using ebony. So that is why I utilized the micro mesh polish. So I went from 150, 240, 320, 400, 600, and then 3 pieces of the micro mesh. I really enjoy using micro mesh because it gives such a high polish and shine to a piece. The higher grit you go, the shinier your piece is going to be. So after sanding with the micro mesh, I wipe down the ornament with a paper towel just to remove any dust that might be on the piece, and then I move on to finishing. And what I like to use on this particular item is the hot polishing paste. It's a really simple application that you use directly on the lathe, and you push it on, and then you use a paper towel or a cloth to heat up the wax to create a very high shine. So in this case, the cream creates a satin finish, and then the brown creates the high gloss finish. I actually had a really hard time getting my paper towel into the small little bevels that I had created around each bead. So what I did for my solution was actually take a piece of sandpaper and put it between the paper towel to help get into those little spaces. This was also a great barrier for my fingers because as you push on the piece, it heats up the wax and it heats up the paper towel, and it gets very hot on your fingertips. The lathe is actually running at 2600 RPM to create that high gloss shine that I wanted, so it gets very, very hot. After polishing was complete, I parted the end of the icicle off of the lathe and I glued it to the sea urchin, and here is the final product here. I did lose some more footage of my process of putting the entire piece together as well as the top. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, please subscribe, and I hope to have more videos up here soon, so take a look.